All right, guys, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of NFL Talk here at the Eletius Sports Channel. I'm your host, Enrique Eletius. Let's get to it. We are going to break down the big game, Super Bowl. I know you can't say big game. I don't know, or I can't say Super Bowl, or at least networks can't say it. I don't know why. That's weird, but it's the Super Bowl. Chiefs, Niners. I got the Niners in this one, or at least I want the Niners to win. But we're gonna break down the two teams here, basically two strategies on how I think either team's going to win this one. I think overall this game, I know there's talk. I think Peyton Manning mentioned it's like might be a high scoring game or whatever, but I do think I don't know. Both like these defenses are, or at least the Chiefs defense is really solid. A big part of how they've been winning games and everything. I also just feel like in the Super Bowl in general, right? Like sometimes, with the exception of maybe like the when the Bucks kind of ran away with it, but like for the most part, like teams kind of start off a little apprehensive, and then once they kind of get a little bit of a roll, they start kind of going, and maybe some points get on the board or whatever. But like overall, I don't know. So the average points is I think 38.5 scored at Allegiant Stadium. I don't know how much that matters because it's Chiefs and the Niners, so like the average points of the stadium doesn't really have a real effect, maybe, but if you believe it does, then I guess more power to you. But the over-under, I believe in this game, let me just double check. I believe in this game it's like 47. I think it's 47. Let me see. It's around like 47, 48. I'm going to go over because I feel like this could be I don't know, like a 27-24 game, field goal game by over under is 47.5. So I'm going to go over. We'll get into the bets later, but I do think that I'm going to go over with this one. So start off with the Chiefs. I think the key for the Chiefs to win is definitely going to be start off. So my main 3 points for the Chiefs to win here is going to be strong defensive game. Mahomes and Kelce have, that connection have to be on point. And I think lastly, the run game dominance with Pacheco. Right? I think those three things combined really could give the Chiefs a huge boost and a huge win. This season they definitely started off, they have been for a large portion of the season led by their defense, right? And guys like Chris Jones, George Karlaftis, they've been really dominant and just overall led by Spags. I think, he's done such an incredible job with scheming the defense and everything like that. You look at look at the stat line of they allow the second fewest yards and points per game. That's been huge. That's a big part of their success. And then also, you look at like just how they've been able to in the playoffs hold teams to 13.7 points per game, right? And in the regular season, it was about 17.3 points per game. That's insane. That's insane. 13.7 points per game in the playoffs. Ooh, that's like barely two touchdowns, right? Like, you look at that and now it's different, right? Like it's a different type of Chiefs team that has gotten success. It's no longer this Mahomes has to do everything and he has to, make those long ball throws or whatever. It's a do what you need to do and the defense will take care of the other team kind of, putting up points on the board. So this kind of strategy now that the Chiefs have and this new type of Chiefs team that's gained success is really heavily reliant upon a strong defensive game, right? So, and you've got a lot of depth guys on the defense like Drew Tranquil, guys like that have stepped up, and it's just been, I think, a really good, incredible year for Spags and just how he's kind of, schemed the defense, like I said, and just, this game specifically, it's going to be really important for them to stop the run, right? And I know, like, you look at guys like Debo and Kittle, and it's actually kind of crazy. Like on paper, I feel like this is what kind of makes me lean to the Niners. It's like I think a lot of people are definitely saying, "Oh, you never bet against the Chiefs and all that," and Mahomes, and that is very true. I think that is very true. But I just feel like this year specifically, if McCaffrey gets going, if Debo gets going, if the Niners play their best game with Kittle there too, like I just see them, and even Juszczyk, right? Like I just see them as a better and I might be eating my words after the game saying this, but like I just see them as a better offensive team than the Chiefs, where the Chiefs just have, and I say just very lightly, but like Mahomes and Kelsey, and then Pacheco on the run game, and then the receivers are not always reliable. But again, it goes back to the keys. That's why it goes back to the keys for the Chiefs to win this. It's their defense. Like if their defense can really step up, that is going to be a backbreaker for the Niners. Because I don't think the Niners defense this year has been playing as well as the Chiefs defense. So I think that's going to be big for the Chiefs to get some success here, is for the defense to step up. And again, second point here is Mahomes and Kelsey, right? Mahomes and Kelsey have to have an incredible game, I think, just because, when Kelsey's on, and he has been playing well this playoff run, right? I mean, you got the whole Taylor Swift thing and all that stuff, but don't need to get into that. But I think when, the other team has to worry about, what's Kelsey going to do, right? And when they worry about what's Kelsey going to do, it does open up other targets. And that's the thing about Kelsey, right? It's like if you don't double up on him, or you don't, scheme against him, you leave him open. And we've seen that a lot of times over the years. It's like, how are people leaving him open, right? Everyone knows it's going to go to Kelsey if he's open, and they still do. And then when they try to double him or, scheme against him, you got guys like, Rashee Rice, who's been playing really awesome. And maybe Kadarius Toney will see the field. I'm not 100% sure if he's going to be in. MVS, Justin Watt, Sky Moore, like these guys who, I think it's been rotated a little bit during the season, but when Mahomes has these guys and they play well for him, which hasn't always been the case this year, that's where they can also get some of their offensive production. So it's going to be an interesting kind of way that we're going to see the Chiefs handle, or the Niners handle the Chiefs in this sense, where how well is Kelsey going to play, and how are they going to use Kelsey in this game? Is he going to be, someone that is used as a decoy, or someone to use as a bit of a smoke screen to target other guys? Or is it just going to be Kelsey, we're going to him if we can't run the ball, So personally, I'm going to go over on Kelsey's receiving yards. And again, I'll get into that later, but I'm going to trust that it's a Super Bowl. There's no way you're not going to use Kelsey in the way that, he's been used all his career. So I think that's going to be important for them. And lastly, I just think that run game with Pacheco, this guy is incredible. I've been a fan of him for a while in the past 2 seasons, especially last season's preseason. He was, I think he got some carries there. That's where he started to make some noise, was in preseason of last year. And I think this time, this season, he has been unbelievable for them, and he has been a huge game changer in terms of offensive production and a different style of offensive production for them, right? So now, again, when you have a running threat, it opens up different options in different ways for playing against certain teams, and other defenses have to take that into account, right? When you're, you have a guy like Pacheco. It's almost like the Niners know what that's like, right? Because they have CMC, and then they have Debo and Kittle and all these guys. So I think when you have a dual threat offense, that is kind of hard for defenses to contain there, right? So I'm a big fan of Pacheco getting his I think maybe getting his over on his rush yards, but just also being a big force for the Chiefs and a big threat for them. Because when we saw from the Lions game, we saw from the Packers game, but I think especially the Lions game, for me at least, was the Niners, their run game, their run defense was not as good in that, especially in that first half, right? They didn't really shut down Montgomery and the Lions run game as much as they should have. I think when you have a line like, Chase Young and all of them, I don't think Chase Young has played as well as he was expected to, but overall, though, the Niners defense is still good, and don't get me wrong, it's still good, but I just think, like, if there's a place to exploit the Niners in this game, it will be in the run game. So we'll see how that goes. I do think that, I hate to say it's like, oh, it's really obvious, but like Pacheco is their guy that's going to run the ball, right? There is no, like, this. I mean, just like when just like when, you have CMC, like, he's the guy to run the ball, So I just think Spags is too smart to not take that into account, and Andy Reid. So, you look at that and you take that into account, and we'll see if Pacheco is again used in the way that we think is going to be used, or is he going to be more of a smoke screen, things like that. But I don't think that that's the case. I believe that Pacheco, he's going to run the ball, he's going to get yards, he's going to get rushing yards. I'm going to go over on the rushing yards for him, but that's just to me a huge. Those three things I think are huge for the Chiefs to win this one. So moving on, I think that my contacts are just like not cooperating. I have to change them. Ooh, all right. I think that for moving on to the Niners now. So Niners are my pick to win it this game. And I'm not like a diehard Niners fan or anything. I just think I want to see them win this one. And I just have a good feeling about their chances here. But I think that for the Niners to win, it's going to, for me, the three things for them, three keys here is going to be, they got to get off to that strong start, right? They've been playing catch up a little too much here in these past 3 games or whatever, 2-3 games. McCaffrey, right? That's all you have to say. Christian McCaffrey, CMC, he's got to show up big. And lastly, I think just the impact and the performance of Brock Purdy, right? And I don't mean that he has to steal the game, but I just think that Brock Purdy has to keep doing what Brock Purdy's doing, right? And I don't agree with this game manager narrative, but even if you want to call it game manager, he's managing the hell out of the game, right? Because he's taking his team all the way up to the Super Bowl. So I do think that those three things there, in my opinion, are crucial for the Niners to gain some success. And for me, I think starting off back at, my key number one, strong starts. The Niners have to avoid these slow starts, right? I mean, when they played the divisional round against the Green Bay Packers, right, they got early deficit, 21-14, and then they had to kind of rally back in that fourth quarter, and initially it was always like an initial, like the Packers got that initial control and the other team kind of gets that first upper hand on them, dominated in the first quarter. They had a big advantage in yardage and time of possession, right? But what's kept them in it, and this is why I think this could be a really strong defensive battle, is what kept them in it was the Niners defense, right? Packers couldn't score, couldn't get that lead, right? And big stop on fourth down, and San Francisco got a touchdown right after that fourth down, and they got a really clutch drive by Brock Purdy. McCaffrey gets a score, and interception by Dre Greenlaw. So they can rally back and they can come back. But then you look at the game against the Lions, same thing. They go down and they got dominated that first half, right? 24-7 at halftime. And again, they came back. They definitely showed a lot of character and they really took advantage. I think they more so took advantage of those fourth down misses by the Lions, but still, they have to also be. You have to give them a lot of credit, right? They also have to score points too. In order for that comeback to to happen, they got to make points, and they did. They capitalized, they executed on those things. But I just think this time around with the Chiefs, I don't think the Chiefs are going to be making the same mistakes as the Lions in terms of game management, going for it on fourth down or whatever. And I don't think the Chiefs are going to make the same mistake in terms of getting offensive production, like the Packers did, like Packers had trouble with. Although, the Ravens did hold the Chiefs down a little bit in that first half or whatever. But still, you can't rely on that. I just don't think you can. I wouldn't want the ball in Mahomes' hand. You know what I mean? So, don't let the Chiefs, don't test the Chiefs in terms of getting some offense there, because Mahomes is Mahomes, So I think that it's just one of those aspects of the game where, they got to come out strong. They got to come out hot, and they got to keep the game close. This is one of those things where I think a lot of the pressure kind of is on the Niners because, the Chiefs have been here before. They kind of know what to expect, and they're the underdogs here, and so the Niners are more expected to come out on top. Although maybe public perception is like the Chiefs are the Chiefs, and people don't like to bet against Mahomes and whatever. But the books kind of are favoring the Niners here. But I think the positive, though, that you could take away from those games there where the Niners kind of fell behind was they were able to come back and they showed throughout the regular season they were dominant, right? But then in these playoffs, they were able to show that adaptability to kind of be put in these kind of situations. So if by chance they are in a situation against the Chiefs where they're down by a lot, they've been there before. There won't be any quitting them. I mean, Brock Purdy is just like strong back there. They got a lot of confidence with the veteran guys up front. So I think they're good. They're fine when it comes to that in terms of confidence. And so, you have that experience and those kind of wins, under your belt. You kind of use that and use it as a positive and be able to handle these different situations. But yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things, right? Like they've shown resilience and that could be good for them. Silver lining here is coming back from those deficits or good for the confidence. But at the end of the day, I don't think you want to test the Chiefs and let them get ahead too far, too early, right? So hopefully they can kind of get off to a stronger start. Second one, Christian McCaffrey, right? I think he has to show up big. He has been honestly like their best player, and yes, I mean, I'm a big fan of Brock Purdy, but there is no denying that Christian McCaffrey is a major reason why they have the success that they've been having ever since they acquired him. I think too, like, when Debo went out, like, for that period of time, McCaffrey was a guy that stepped up, and if you look at his stats here for I believe this is the year. I think he's had 37 carries. I'm sorry, this is just playoffs. 37 carries, 188 yards, averaging 94 yards per game, about 5.1 yards per carry, 4 rushing touchdowns, 11 receptions for 72 yards, so averaging about 6.5 yards per reception, about 36 yards per game. It's just like this guy, just unbelievable for them, So if the Niners can, or if the Chiefs can find a way to stop him, that's going to be huge. But in my opinion, I don't think he can stop him. Especially, you're not going to stop him when he's this close to winning a Super Bowl. He's got just that. He's a dog, right? And he's got that like aggressiveness and that that mentality that like he won't be stopped. He's definitely not soft, and he's not going to let people kind of push him around or bully him around. So, and also I think too is great is Shanahan's scheme is known for creating mismatches, right? So especially he's got a big challenge going up against his defense in Kansas City, but if he's able to, I really see CMC being able to get some good yardage here and being able to break through. And I think like a CMC touchdown is, I don't know, like a really good bet, because there's a good chance that like he's going to be the guy to maybe even get a first touchdown. So that would be interesting to watch. But yeah, I do think like in terms of just the scheme that Shanahan puts his team on to kind of take advantage of CMC is like, they use a lot of 21 or 22 personnel, right? Which means putting 2 running backs on the field at the same time, right? So, and the numbers there refer to the combination of running backs and tight ends in the game. So, for example, like 21 means 2 running backs and 1 tight end. Meanwhile, like 22 means 2 running backs and 2 tight ends. And so McCaffrey here, whenever they use these formations, it's when his significant chunk of his yards, so like 841 out of the 1,459 yards came when they did a lot of these like 2 running back formations. So, understanding or Shanahan understanding and studying the film on the Chiefs here could be huge in his ability to or in his play calling and the ability for McCaffrey to get some really significant plays and touchdowns and yardage here. So I think that's something to look out for. And Shanahan does a good job of of a lot of shifts and motions and basically where it's like moving around players before the snap, right? For people who aren't too familiar with that. So like, it's a bit of like, I guess it's called that wide zone style of play. And, this approach for the Niners, like it looks out for gaps and leverage against the weaker spots of the Chiefs defense. Sorry. So, Shanahan's good with those kind of things. And it's all about creating opportunities for the running back to be able to find more space to run through. That's why I think you see a lot of success that McCaffrey has been able to have is because of just these really good play calling and formations and pre-snap movements that Shanahan uses to create more room for McCaffrey to run, right? So it's a difficult thing to play against. It's a difficult thing to coach against. But you got Spags there, you got Andy Reid there. So it'll be a fun battle to watch. That's why I said like it's gonna be something like chess. It's gonna be a chess game between the two. I don't know how much it's gonna be like a dink and dunk type of high scoring game, but we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. And lastly, when it comes to speaking of just like controlling the game and everything, I think the impact that Brock Purdy is going to play in this game is going to be massive, right? I mean, again, I'm not saying he's going to be, like peak Lamar or he's going to have to be run around like Mahomes, or like Mahomes can or whatever. But knowing the situations, knowing when to quit on a play and knowing when to just go for what's given, I think that's where Brock Purdy can really shine here. It's just he's really good at just this quick decision making. He's really good at making like rapid regressions where he kind of goes down the field, just knows where he has to throw the ball or throw it out of bounds or if he needs to, and his ability to adapt, right? Like make these really critical reads and depending on the coverage and things like that, right? Like so, I think the Chiefs they're known for their blitzes here, and so that's going to be important, especially Brock under pressure. Like it's going to be interesting to see how they navigate that. And even though, and it's funny because we saw it last game, he wasn't really known for his ability to scramble in the pocket, but he did a really good job last game, I thought, for extending plays. And it's just something that like, it's a little wrinkle that I feel like he's kind of thrown here at the postseason that he hasn't done throughout the entire regular season. So it can kind of throw people off a little bit, right? Because if you do it, if you're like Lamar, people are expecting it. But if you don't, and you only throw it once in a while, it's a little trickier thing to kind of get a sense of if he's going to do it or not. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a challenge, I think, for him in terms of just like extending plays because he's got Chris Jones there on the pass rush. I'm a big, I'm a big believer in just his ability here to, like I said, take the plays that he needs to. Because he's got the weapons, right? And I know that's a knock on him or whatever, which I don't. I mean, I name a Super Bowl winning team or a Super Bowl dynasty or a winning team, a dynasty team that has gained a lot of success where it's only the quarterback and there aren't good weapons around him, right? So, he's got a lot of great people around him, and he doesn't have to be the hero of this game. I don't think he just has to make the right plays, and I think he's a guy that he's not going to try to be the hero if he doesn't have to be, or if he shouldn't be. I think that he's got enough weapons around him, and he acknowledges he knows that he's smart enough to know that he's just got to put his players in good positions to get the ball down the field, right? And so he's got that really good chemistry, and of course he's got CMC to rush the ball and to really make those explosive plays, and he's got a lot of good weapons there, right? He's got Kittle, Sam, Debo, Juszczyk, right? Ayuk, and a lot of these guys are there for him to use, and so if CMC doesn't run the ball, but I think overall, right, like one of the biggest things that this game is going to be, in terms for me anyway, it's just going to be like who's going to make that first mistake or who's going to make less mistakes, right? Because a team like the Chiefs, they don't make a whole lot of mistakes, and I think the team like the Niners have shown that they also are a team that doesn't make a whole lot of mistakes, and if they do, they're able to come back and fight back, and they're a really smart, well-coached football team. But I think that again, their key here, one of the main keys for me is that strong start, right? Don't fall behind early against these Chiefs team, and don't fall behind too much against the Chiefs team because they do know how to shut teams down, and they know what it's like to fall behind early, especially against the Bucs, like the Chiefs did. And so they're going to be looking to, if they get a lead, they're going to be looking to put it away as much as they can. But yeah, overall, it should be a fun game. I'm really excited for it. I think like this game is like going to be, I don't know. I think it's going to be it's so unpredictable, you know. I think that's the biggest takeaway I've had of things so far is how unpredictable and how unsure, like, just people don't know, like, because it's on one hand, if Mahomes is Mahomes, and you know, you don't bet against the Chiefs and Mahomes, but then on the other hand, you look at this team with how Brock Purdy's led them, you look at how dominant McCaffrey's been, you look at just Debo and all these guys, right? Yeah, it's gonna be a hard one for sure to kind of really tell who's gonna come away with it, but I think that it's gonna be a fun. I hope it's a fun game. You know, that's all I'm hoping for too. It's like, again, I have no dog in the fight here. It's just like I just hope for an entertaining game, and I think it will be. So we'll see how it goes. But if you guys, whoever you guys are going for, leave it in the comments below. If you have any comments about just how you think each team or one of the teams is going to win, leave that in comments as well. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Thumbs up on the video. Subscribe if you want to. Check out more of my videos on my channel and things like that. But honestly, it's been a fun season. I think it's been really interesting how a lot of things have panned out this season. I didn't get to really do as much content as I wanted to. Things were kind of busy, but can definitely enjoy this final game and look forward to seeing how it all pans out. But thanks again for watching. Now, catch you guys later.